Right folks, so while I'm finishing getting myself set up and we're waiting for these pellets down here to finish taking on the rest of that water, I thought I'd set the scene a little bit for you on this video. Now, I've actually been to 2 fisheries before I come here today. It's Bank Holiday Monday and they were just absolutely rammed. They just would have been too busy for me to film, so carried on driving and eventually got to this fishery. Now there's quite a few on here around the lake, so I am going to have to try and keep myself a little bit quieter than I normally am. But I was going to film a completely different video. I was going to practice on the pellet waggler and also bomb and pellet in conjunction with each other. So that's what I was going to do. But as I've said to you, the fisheries that I wanted to film that particular video on, and I think it's a method that is only suited to certain fisheries, were just too busy. So we're going to be fishing the method feeder as usual. And one of my subscribers was down here today. I messaged him, he told me that it wasn't that busy, and it isn't. There's only a few on, and they've had a few fish today and they're catching them on the bottom. I did expect the fish to be up in the water here like they normally are, but whether it's because they've just spawned or whatever, they seem to be in the margins. So got the method feeder set up there. I've just put hook length on, usual setup, size 12 Olympian tackle feeder hook to 9-pound Guru end gauge, banjo feeder. And we're just going to put a wafter on, stick it down the margin and try and get a couple of fish on the bank. So there's a couple of different swims that I'm going to try. I'm going to try down this left hand margin here, and I'll put some shots in of that now. Could also fish over to the island if I wanted to. I don't think there's anybody fishing over there to the island, so I won't be casting across anybody's swim. It's a little bit of an odd shape, this fishery. The island's not completely in the centre, it's set off to one side, but I think we'll be alright casting over there to the island. I believe that most of the fish have been coming out in the margin down this other side where it's actually quite busy next to the reeds, but hopefully there's a few mooching around down this side of the fishery where it's quiet. So in terms of bait today, I'm using my pineapple contrast method feeder pellets. Got some marzipan glaze liquid for me. Wafters I'm going to be using. Start off on the sweet corn. Might try bubble gum. Who knows? We'll see how we get on. When you're filming for YouTube, folks, especially when it comes to fishing, you've got to set out with multiple plans. You just can't turn up to a fishery and expect to fish the way that you wanted to. Also, what I'm doing today is I'm trying this new camera setup, a new mic, so hopefully the audio's good. I won't know until I get home. Another problem when you're filming on your own, it's hard to get multiple shots and it's hard to know exactly what I'm filming. But until I get myself a professional camera crew, this is what you're going to have to put up with, folks. So let's get into the video. Let's see if we can get some nice carp on the bank, because there are some chunks in here. Okie doke. Also, folks, what do you think of the new merch? I'm liking these polos. I've had to buy some new clothes because I don't know if any of you have noticed, I have lost a little bit of weight, so compliments down in the comments section, please. These are fine now, these method pellets. I probably over soaked them, but they'll be right. Don't overthink it. Now, if you find that you've soaked your pellets a little bit too long, like I have today because I was messing about with the camera, don't worry about it, just don't squeeze them on as hard. So there we go, folks, we're fishing. Hopefully you can see the tip. Don't know, you might be able to see it. It might not be in focus. Something else that I wanted to talk to you about on this video. As much as I love telling you where I'm fishing, I think I'm going to have to stop disclosing some of the locations unless I'm doing a specific fishery review and I've got the permission of the owner to disclose the location. I'm going to have to stop doing it because, believe it or not, I've had a couple of fishery owners now not get aggy with me as such, but make some comments that they're getting too busy after I've done my videos. Now, anybody would think a fishery owner would love the fact that they're getting busy after my videos, you know, all that extra revenue and everything, but no, some of them don't seem to like it. Can't get my head around it myself, but there we go. So if I don't tell you where I'm fishing, please don't ask in the comments. Or if you want to ask in the comments, somebody else might tell you, but I'm not going to. And don't think I'm not telling you because I want to hide where I'm fishing. You know me, folks, I'm open about everything. So the time, it's coming up to about 4:30, so we're really late on in the afternoon. I got some jobs done this morning, then decided I wanted a spur of the moment trip. The day's not ideal, obviously, like I said, with it being bank holiday, but... So what else have I got with me today? I've also got the old Corum floating feeders and my floating feeders. So if I see them start cruising, we could do that. I've got some bread with me. Bread is allowed at this fishery, which is fairly uncommon these days, isn't it? You're not allowed bread feed, but loose feed's fine, which I'm guessing broken up pieces of bread, they just don't want it all minced up and piling in. Because what can happen with bread, and why a lot of these fisheries actually ban it, is it can pollute the water, folks. That's why. And obviously it drags all the wildfowl in, which is another reason. But as we all know, bread is probably one of the best baits for pretty much any fish going. So it's unfortunate. I really, really hope this new camera mic's working. I think it is. I think we're all good. One more cast down here. I really don't see why there wouldn't be fish down this margin because the wind's blowing right into me. Be shocked if there weren't. One of the issues that I had trying to decide where to go today is obviously at a lot of places the carp are spawning. I obviously know that they're not spawning here because somebody told me that they had fish out today. This is not an easy fishery by any stretch of the imagination, so I'm not expecting to bag up, but just hoping for that odd 1 or 2 fish. We need to get a couple on the bank, don't we, this evening? I can't be posting blanks in May. I have to take up golf. Fella's in on the opposite bank, over to the reeds. Looks like a nice fish. Ooh, that's definitely a nice chunk, that. It's about 14-15 pound. Also, folks, I just want to express my concerns about some of the weight guesses on the 15,000 subscriber video for my dad's fish for the giveaway. The guesses ranged all the way from £4 all the way up to £15. The people that guess £15, I want you to come and weigh my fish. But on a serious note, that just shows you why you should never really guess at the weight of fish. Oh, I've just done a nice carp top over there, straight out. I'm eager to put my method feeder somewhere else. This is why it really helps fishing 2 rods, because I can find where the fish are a little bit easier. Like, for example, if I was fishing 2 rods now, I'd have one out towards the island and I'd have one down the margin here, and I'd be able to find out pretty quickly where the fish were. Whereas I can't move this rod too quickly. I need to give it a good amount of time, because even the guys that are fishing next to the reeds where the fish are, they're only getting bites every like 20-30 minutes, so they're not massively on the feed. I'm going to give this another 5 minutes down the margin. If we don't have anything there, then I'm going to have a cast into open water, try that for half an hour. If I don't have anything there, then I'm going to try down this right hand margin here, just out from these overhanging trees. But I'll have to be straight on that because that's really snaggy around that side. So I think that's my game plan. I've just seen another carp top straight out there, so I'm going to go out there. That's 2 carp rolling. Now, it's really not often that I would fish open water at this time of year, but having seen 2 carp roll in the same spot, it's just too much of an invitation, folks. What I could also do, and I think I will do, is try a pink wafter as well, because the water is really coloured. Now, I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube recently of people saying that colour doesn't matter, but I think colour absolutely does matter. I've proved it time and time again on my channel that certain colours work better on certain fisheries. I'm not saying that you can't catch on other colours, but usually yellows or pinks are the two go-to colours, and I would say if it's a clear water fishery, you want to be using a yellow bait, and if it's a murky water fishery like this, really silty, really coloured, then I would be using a pink bait or a red bait, something on that kind of spectrum. But you do what you want, folks, and you believe what you want. I can only give you my thoughts or feelings. Obviously we never really know, there's no definitive evidence for it, but having fished for many years and having tried a lot of different things, it's just my findings. Fella across from me is absolutely bagging up down the side next to the reeds, which you're going to say, I'm going to say this anyway, but that is definitely where I'd have fished. Probably can't see a thing that I'm doing because we're on autofocus. Got some pink marzipan wafters there. Fish just dropped straight out from me. Let's have a go. Lad next to me chucking across my swim, absolutely perfect. I'm just going to say one thing, bank holidays. And I just want to say as well, he didn't start next to me. I've come over here out of the way of everybody so I can film, and he's moved next to me. Must think I know something, folks? And he'd be wrong. So far, folks, nitto. I knew it'd be hard, but I didn't think it'd be this hard. Come on, we need to get a few fish on the bank. Driven 45 minutes to get here and paid £5. Probably paid more in fuel. In fact, I've definitely paid more in fuel. Just a little bit reluctant to scale down because there's some absolute crumpers in here. Pretty sure I've just made that word up. There's some chunks in here. So I don't want to scale down too much. And this reel that I'm using today is one of the ones that I'm testing for my own tackle brand, and I haven't tested it enough to have absolute faith in it yet. It's really good so far, and it's been the best that I've tested so far, but I haven't had many big fish on it, so I don't know if the drag system will be smooth enough. Obviously when you're playing big fish, you want a nice smooth drag. You want them to be able to pull line off the reel when they bolt without too much resistance. You want it to give straight away, and if there's any sticking or delay in the line releasing off the reel, then obviously it can break your hook length when you feeder fishing. I might ping a couple of floaters out to see if they come up from. Back me drag off. For anybody wondering what brand of floaters I recommend, these are the ones. Meaty Meals Small Dog. Tender chunks of tasty beef. I'm just going to ping 4 out. When it's tough like this, folks, you've got to have options with you at this time of year. But I honestly think they're feeding on the bottom. We'll watch them for 10-20 minutes. If they start getting slurped up, then I've got some bread with me. Doing a bit more chopping and changing today than I normally am. It's just hard when you don't know a fishery. Definitely puts you at a disadvantage. Let's try a bubblegum. go over there by that overhanging tree, hopefully not in it, just off it. Oh my gosh, that cast, folks. Just in a big carp slurping on top. I think it's time to free line some bread. Oh. As soon as I mention bread, these ducks start dabbling about. So, I've splashed out 45 quid. Got myself a Daiwa Matchman pellet waggler, 11 foot. So, this will be fine for wazzing some bread out there. And I think I'm going to use 8-pound line straight through and tie something like a size 8 hook on, something big enough to hold the bread. Take this wrapping off first though. Can't stand keeping the wrapping on. I know that some of you out there leave the wrapping on as long as possible, but it's a massive pet hate of mine. Get it ground baited up, get it covered in crap. That's what it's for, isn't it? Problem is going to be getting it out far enough. So if I'm struggling to get it out far enough, then we'll have to put a surface controller on. But for me, free lining is the way forward. There's not many people that'll be this honest with you folks, but fishing is probably 95% location and 5% bait and tactics. If you're not on them, you're not going to catch them, and that's the long and short of it. Or you're not going to have as much chance of catching them. Doesn't mean there aren't one or two fish still knocking about though when you swim. So you've got to keep at it. If that's the swim that you've got, that's what you've got to work with. Let's go back down this margin. Obviously this bread's drifted into the margin down here, and the carp's just been up slurping at the bread close in down here. So I might try free lining some bread flake close in. At this stage I just want to nab one. The owner's just been round, I've just been chatting to him, and he says that they're spawning on his second lake today. But there's no signs of them spawning on this lake. I thought that they might have already spawned, but obviously they've not. Just spilt me coffee all over my bag. Not what you want, is it? Getting one off the top is my best chance. What I need is this wind to completely die off. You're more likely to get them off the top when there's no ripple on. Did you hear that then, folks? Literally, you just had a carp come up right here and slurp some. Promising. Let's get them competing before I actually put some crust out with a hook on. Get them competing in this bay here where the wind's blowing into. I've got one just down the margin there, and the floating feeder's just sat down the margin there with a big piece of bread on. And I'm hoping that, you just got to hope that the hook catches them right. So the way I like to hook bread, there's a couple of different ways, but I like to put the hook through the bread, and I've gone through this on videos in the past. Carp slurping over there, and then I go back through again, spin the hook, and then I actually double the bread over itself and just leave the hook point showing but trap the line, and that's what helps on the cast. See that that hook's showing, the line's trapped. Take some of that bread off because that's way too much. But they're coming up for it. You see, the reason I'm dipping it is it just gives it a bit of weight. You can get a bit further when you're freelining. Like that. And then I can just bring it back a touch. No way. We've christened this rod as well, first time out. Don't forget I'm only using 8-pound line, so I need to take it easy. We don't know how good the hook hold is either. This is a good fish, it must be. I need to get the other rod out. I don't think it's in the way though. Oh. Hook pulled. I think I tightened my drag up just a little bit too tight. I must have only just nicked it. What time are we on? 6 o'clock. We might get another stab at one in the next hour or so. Here we are, it's a good fish. It's a good fish. You see, in my opinion, you see, what needs to happen is the bread needs to be far enough away from you, and it also, when they're being really tentative like this, it needs to be in the water a good while before either they find it or they feel confident in taking it. Here we are, that's it. It's eating that branch. Come on, bread next, mate, bread next. Back my drag off. Here we go, folks. Oh, missed it. I can't believe it. I missed it. We're getting some absolute lumps over there in that corner. Meanwhile, over here. Well, even though we had a hook pull on that fish, I must admit, for 40 quid, I'm impressed with the playing action on that Daiwa Matchman pellet waggler rod. Obviously, I've got it for the pellet waggler, I've not got it for floating baits like this, but it's a nice soft rod, and those kind of things stop. And having a nice soft rod stops hook pulls. Oh, they're coming up for this bread. A bit further out. Look at the size of this carp here coming up for bread. everywhere I seem to put my piece of bread, they come up in the opposite place. See? Hopefully they move around to the right. Well, before I round the video off, I just want to do a quick shout out to Andy, who's my subscriber, who told me that they were absolutely bagging up down here today and I should get myself down here and get a few fish. And it just shows that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, can you? Because I've had absolutely nothing. Look at this, folks. The last knockings are light here. And now this is absolute perfect floater conditions. It's absolutely beautiful. What an evening. This is what fishing's about, folks. It's not necessarily about absolutely bagging up on fish all the time. Look, I catch my fair share, but sometimes I'm sat in the last of this May evening sun and it is glorious. The sun's slowly setting now. I'm watching this piece of bread flake out here. They're taking every other piece of bread flake but mine. And it's gorgeous. Listen to the birds. There's nobody else on the lake. There's a great big carp just come up there. And I think, folks, this is where a lot of matchmen actually miss out on, you know, what encapsulates fishing. It's not about trying to drag as many fish as you can in a certain amount of time and fill a net full. It's about slowing down and just taking everything in. Well, folks, this evening session has definitely not gone to plan. First of all, not being able to fish the fisheries that I wanted to fish today. And second of all, this absolute struggle on this lake. And I think it's just that there aren't that many carp feeding on this side of the lake. The lads on the opposite side have absolutely bagged up round the shallow bay. And they haven't been fishing tight into the margin, they've been fishing off margin, and they've done really well. And they're all a really good stamp of fish here, like going into double figures, all of them. It's very rare that you get any smaller fish. Obviously I lost that absolute monster, and I saw the fish, I knew exactly how big it was. So whether I'd have got it in on 8-pound line or not, I'm sure I would have, but obviously the hook pulled. And there's not a lot you can do about it. That's fishing at the end of the day. But I've tried my best for you. But I think it is going to be a blank today. I'm going to keep going. I think my best chance is for something off the top. They're picking stuff off the top, but they're nibbling at a piece of bread and then just moving away from it. Usually what they'll do is they'll move from piece to piece, and this wind picking up's just made it near enough impossible now. There's the odd 1 or 2 fish coming down here in the margin, so that's where I've got my bread at the moment. I'm going to keep going, but if I don't manage anything, I just want to say thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next Westies Angling. I'm going to try and get out for more evening sessions this week, I think, and try and find places where the fish aren't spawning. At least we've managed to test out the new microphone and new camera setup. Positive from an absolute negative. Can't think of anything else. I'm in, folks. Typically, just as I was packing up, I have no idea what you're going to be able to see. I put my tripod down and everything. I don't think this rod's made for lumps like this. Literally, last cast, packing up. fish. We've got one, folks. We've saved the blank. And what a fish it is as well. Oh, it's got a right belly on it. Well, I don't know what you just got of that fight footage, but here we go. I can't tell you how hard I've worked for this fish today, but it's a lump. I've just weighed it. It's 10 pound on the right weigh scales, so take that with a pinch of salt, but it's a beauty. I mean, if I looked today, I would not say that was 10 pound, but she's really fat. Oh wow. You are slimy. Let's get her back. Save the blank, folks. Literally last cast, and they're coming up for bread now pretty actively, so I might just have one more cast. I think I've got maybe 15 minutes before it starts going dark, so I'll leave the camera set up. If I get anything else, I'll show you in the net. I don't know what I got of the fight then. I literally just, while I was playing the fish, I grabbed my camera out of the bag. I'd put everything away. Look at that lump. Oh. Never say never. Should we get another? I'm in, folks. Got me halfway across pond. I didn't really see the take, so I don't know how big it is. Now that everybody's gone, I think they're taking the bread a little bit more confidently. That was down this right hand side. I think it's a good fish, this. I've not much memory card space left, so I'm just going to switch this off and hopefully we manage to get it a bit closer. Listen, this drag going. Oh, that's a nice common. Oh my god, what a bloody battle on light gear. Look at that lump. There's a lot of creaking and grinding through the rod rings on this Daiwa Matchman, but I don't really know what I expect for 40 quid. But my god, it's only just hooked as well. 1 minute left on the memory card. Oh, right weigh scales are showing 12 pound on this. 42 seconds. What a fish to end on. Fully end on. What a lump. Right, that's me done. I'm off home. I'll see you next time, folks.